Alright. Welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode 75. Yeah, this is the latest one of the Tokusou review series where I've basically gotten this far. I think probably the next one is probably going to be Ultraman. Yeah, the Ultra review is definitely... we'll do that. So this one, I like the previous two videos for this series, where for Juspion, of course, review more Juspion here. I reviewed two. Well, in the case, the first one was 1, the second one was just 3, and then this is actually going to be the fourth one covering this. This is covering 4 episodes. Yep, 4. Episodes 7 through 10 of the series. In episode number 7, this one basically has a weird opening. Okay, so the opening bit of this one, we have this group of hikers, and look at this place called the Whispering Mountain, and then the thing wakes up, opens its mouth, and the hiker gets sucked inside, and of course, basically, Jasmine's doing something else that he's dragged away from what he was. I think he was playing an arcade. Yeah, an arcade. Playing a racing game that he was not good at. He kept crashing. So he's pulled out of there by Annie. Then, of course, basically, he's tasked by her to investigate these 4 disappearances. And while they're up in the mountains, they just run into 2 kids who turns out one of the hikers is actually their father. Yep. So, and turns out this mountain with the eyes turns out is actually a Mega Beast. And of course, Jasmine goes inside, and then he comes across what looks to be a wrestling ring, and the first guy comes across, I think this is a guy. I think I remember hearing his voice before over. I think it was in Bioman. I think it was. He defeats him, and then we had this other guy hop in the ring, slicing at Juspion, and turns out this is Boomerang. You're like, what the heck is he doing here? He explains he thought this was a base for the Mega Beast Empire, so he came to investigate it, and he got captured. And eventually, of course, Jasmine's choice to destroy this damn thing. Oh, by the way, he does find the hikers and the 2 kids who got pulled and stuff. And of course, Ani, being a complete idiot, not knowing the fact this cage just happened to pop up out of nowhere, is in fact the entrance to the belly of this fucking Mega Beast. She is that much of a moron. Yeah, and she gets caught by tentacles. And then, of course, Jasmine frees her, and then eventually the thing is destroyed. Of course, this one Jasmine had no problem with destroying because how evil. Like, doesn't matter the fact that Satan Garth made this thing basically go on a rampage. This thing was evil. This was basically a creature who basically would try to eat people. It's a rock monster. Because of course, basically, we can have a rock monster series. The second episode is kind of an interesting one per se. And this one basically revealed Boomerang's backstory of why in the world that he actually is fighting Saint Garth. Yeah, and there's these 2 people who were trying to defect. And yeah, and it turns out that the reason why we actually revealed the reason why he actually is fighting Saint Garth. Excuse me, why I hate so much. Saint Garth killed his brother, of course, and apparently he was an Interpol agent who was recruited part of the army, part of the organization, Magara's army. Now, they of course didn't know he was an Interpol agent. Now, they don't mention if he was assigned to infiltrate the organization at all. There was no mention at all. It's like as soon as they found out he was Interpol, they killed him immediately. So in terms of these 2, I think they're siblings. They don't really clarify what the heck these 2 are. Either siblings or cousins. It's not made very clear. They're from a planet known as Planet Sky. And they're dressed in Arab garbs. I don't know why, but it's a desert set, of course it is. And yeah, it starts out basically something interesting, like the whole thing apparently where Matt Garrett's army are basically people who he forced to be part of his army. Which I'm like, okay, so he's the son of Satan Garth. I'm sure Satan Garth probably doesn't care anything about money. All he cares about basically just causing Megabeast to go rampage. So I have a meaty question here. Where does Matt Garrett get his money? Who finances him? That's a really good question. So they, of course, have a monster on their side, obviously, and because this guy dared try to leave them, of course, try to affect him. Basically, his punishment is to try to be merged with a fucking monster. But looking up, basically, Jasper Simpson basically saves them. It's a good character moment for a Boomerang, and we do this pretty much 2 episodes after his debut appearance. And I'm glad that we necessarily explain this in his debut episode. It's like it's very antagonistic, somewhat a little bit toward the end of episode 6. And 7 is very helpful, 8 is very helpful. And of course, basically, they want to go back to Planet Sky, but they can't go just yet because they've been studying Garth. So, like, okay, we'll wait. No problem. So, Boomerang sends them up on a remote farm someplace, and presumably these two won't be seen again in the series. Yes. In the case of episode 9, this is like almost like an environmental mentions episode. So, Juspion and Ari just happen to come across a talking tree. Yes, a talking tree. So it's like, oh yeah, he's gonna be chopped down for an apartment complex. And then of course Matt Garrett decides to come with the idea to transform this tree into a Mega Beast. And had the Mega Beast spread a super pollen across this area. And by the way, this tree, it's a cedar tree. Cedar trees are known for being very, very heavy. They produce very strong wood. And apparently this tree has been around for a long time. And he mentions, oh yeah, all my children are gone. All my friends are gone. And presumably they were chopped down. And there's this one kid in the episode who gets bullied because his father dares grow cedar trees, and apparently cedar is what's causing the pollen. They also accuse him of... And apparently his father is also being sued for the damages caused by the cedar stuff, even though he has nothing to do with it at all. I'm like, okay, I get the fact he's growing cedar trees, but I highly doubt... Now here's the thing. Cedar trees necessarily don't... I don't know if this is really... I don't think they produce pollen. I don't know if they do. This is probably made for this episode. Oh, by the way, because all the heavy pollen, all the sneezing, everybody's forced to wear masks. Now, in case you're curious, though, this would not happen in the United States if there's a lot of pollen everywhere. They would just try to stay with each other. Don't wear a freaking mask. But I'm fine with this because it's Japan. They do this a lot. Even people get sick, they put on masks. And Japan has been doing this for decades. They've been doing it since World War II. Because there's sometimes certain areas of Japan, people cannot really breathe there. So they have to wear these masks in order to breathe or even survive in Japan. Usually, I'm sure it's a lot better nowadays, but it used to be really bad, like in the 60s. I heard there was actually an explosion in some weapons factory or something like that caused the whole area because like a big smog, which drew inspiration for the smog monster in one of the for Hedorah, the smog monster from one of the Godzilla movies. Yeah, the Godzilla movies love basically drawing inspiration from real life. So, excuse me. So, and of course, people are sneezing like crazy. I'm surprised basically when people sneeze, they're not, shooting out snot. That usually happens to me. So, and here's the weird thing. So, these kids accuse him of spreading the pollen, and yet here's the thing. This one kid is not sneezing. His father is not sneezing, and his mother is not sneezing. Does anybody question the fact that why these three people are not sneezing, and yet everybody else in this whole area is sneezing? Like, they really don't really explain of why. It could be because they're basically near cedar all the time, so maybe they're immune to it. It could cause immunity, but it's never really explored in this episode. Just, oh, people are sneezing, so let's blame the people who are growing cedar trees. I'm like, that's freaking stupid. And it turns out basically just a monster. And sadly, Jaspion has to destroy the monster. He had no choice. Which also apparently destroyed 2 tanks in the matter. Of course, he was sad to do that, but they killed the monster. But yeah, you just cost people their jobs, dude. I'm like, what the heck was this? I think it was an okay episode, yes, but the big problem is basically the people in this episode are even complete idiots. My gosh. At least I appreciate some of the child characters in this episode are written to act like kids, and they're not terrible actors. Not really. But in the case of our next episode, this one is a bit unique, this one. Because this is not some monster that's woken by St. Garth like it has been since episode 3. Now, by the way, by episode 10, Juspion has been on Earth for 8 episodes, has not left the planet because he vowed to stay on the planet to deal with St. Garth because this is the planet of Mega Beast. And it is my theory of the reason why that Juspion is stuck on Earth. My personal guess is it is for a budget reason. My guess is they probably originally planned to have him on various planets, but he only goes to like 3 overall. I mean, he starts out one in the first episode, goes to one planet, goes to another planet, gets destroyed, and then I guess they figured though, okay, we had 2 desert planets, we had a frost planet. Let's just basically go straight to Earth. And they probably also figured though maybe that the ratings were not as good as the previous series, so because it was not set on Earth. So, and they wanted to fight on Earth, not, fight some alien planet. So my guess is that the whole move to Earth thing, that probably was done as a way to boost ratings. I'd say it probably kept the ratings up. I'm guessing at this. I have no freaking idea. But back to the episode itself. So, this episode, the big thing this one, some kid just randomly finds a tooth. A fossil tooth. And also this episode, by the way, St. Garth really doesn't do anything at all. He shows up for like one scene, the whole episode for a quick cameo, and that's it for him. And let me point out though, St. Garth is the main villain of the series. And yet in this episode 10, he shows up for a cameo. And is it just me where every time he walks into some area, it's stock footage from his debut episode? Yeah. They literally reuse the same exact footage. Even though clearly he's in like a wooded area, or he's like a flat grass area. Nope, we have to show sand because that's what he was when he first showed up in episode 1. It's like it's a constant thing with him. It's almost like that. It seems as though sometimes when he shows up, it's actually him. I would say about, in these 10 episodes so far, I'd say about 80% of the time it's him in person. 20% of the time is stock footage. I'd say in the case of episode 10, it's stock footage. My guess is the actor probably wasn't available, and they probably need to feature in this episode, so let's just draw in St. Garth for a quick cameo, and they probably use stock. It looks like they use stock footage, just him walking, and of course everyone's seeing him. There's like he's probably not even there, and he uses his beam, and that's the last to see of him. The whole episode, he doesn't really do anything. This episode probably was clearly stock footage for him, but everyone else been pretty much just regular footage. So, yeah. Though I find it interesting though, is the fact that Matt Garrett finds Ari, who is Jasmine's partner. He finds out in this very episode. By the way, He, at this point, this episode is his 7th episode he's appeared in. Yeah, 7th. Because he first showed up in episode 4. So literally it's been 6 episodes debut, and only now he finds out that Ari is in fact an android. A very not good working android per se. Personal, but she's not strong. She's just an assistant. She has no real big role at all. And she wants to go with the fashion of the world, but she forgets to, oh crap, when you do this hairstyle, you gotta do it with money, and she has no money. If that's the case, they might think, okay, so I get the fact she might not need food, but what about Juspion? Well, I think in the case of Juspion, the reason why he is well fed, well, probably because basically Ari makes it from a food synthesizer or something on the ship. That's probably what's going on there. So then we have this really cool scene here. We have the scientist put this, look like a fossil, inside of this regeneration thing. And into this one fossil, he managed to grow 2 women. Amazonesses, as they put it, basically 2 Amazons, where apparently this being apparently groomed to basically a size of adults and gives them clothes and weapons in a span of seconds. I can't basically go into as humans, but what, did the machine just happen to give them clothes and weapons in that same gas they're basically exposed to? Because I almost could assume these women were butt naked, and then of course Ari first shows up, and of course that they steal the fossil. Of course, and also the kids basically like, oh yeah, this is Juspion. Basically, he's about to say his name, but look how Boomerang's there, basically behind his side. And of course, also he has a fighting scene Garth in the episode, which I thought was really cool. Let's see, Garth, Matt Gallant. I thought it was really cool the fact he fought him in this episode. So, excuse me. So maybe at one point where it looks like Ari is stripped butt naked to be washed, apparently. Yes, she is being. Well, I don't know if it looks like a tanning bed. Yes, you're trying to tan an android. Okay. And we can't brainwash her. And then they get assume like, oh, that's when they find out she's an android. And of course she's screaming. And then Jasmine shows up and she says, "You're late." And his response is, "You're a bucket of bolts." Because, these two love the baker. And by the way, the Bruce of Boomerang is involved in this episode because the scientist here was actually a college professor who was kidnapped by Matt Gallant to grow these fossils. And he apparently said to grow an ancient piranha called a pathosaur. And we even see a thing have eat a fisherman. Yes, a fisherman. Then eventually destroys the monster, and of course basically gives the kid back a tooth. And his siblings are playing with Maya. And that's the 4 episodes nutshell. It's quite interesting. As for Boomerang himself, this would be his 3rd, overall, he will make 3 more appearances in the series. Because next episode, he takes an episode off, and then he's back for 12, and then we will see him again until a 2-parter after my break with the series, and that's it for him. I have heard the reason why that after these 5 episodes, and 3 more after this one, why it was only like this, because the actor got injured during the course of shooting. That's why basically he was moved from the show. That's what I've heard anyways. So, as an apology for basically missing this show, they decided to give him his own show again with the very next one. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Though this was the second time this happened where he pops up in one particular show and then he gets the very next show. Yeah, second time this has ever happened. He does, of course, also have a show with Metalder, and that's it, Metal Heroes. Well, for main series, I don't think he shows up anyone. I don't remember if he does or not. But, great 4 episodes. I enjoy these ones. I would say of the 4, 8 is the most interesting one because we actually hear about Boomerang's backstory. Well, basically the reason why he hates seeing Garth, not what he was doing anyways, or why he uses boomerangs. But aside from that, it's a very interesting 4 episodes. It definitely feels like... It doesn't feel like filler. No, it does really not. Yeah, they feature kids, but in the case of 10, the kid does play a small role in the episode. He actually chases down the Amazons, and he actually gives Jaspion critical info to track him down. Like, okay. And here's something interesting about this series so far. Like, the only real cast members you have this series is Jaspion, you have Ari, St. Garth, obviously. Well, in the case of good guys, aside from Ari and Maya, Boomerang is the closest we have, but Boomerang only shows up for like a handful of times. It's similar to a character that popped up for Black. Kasi, I think his name is. He only appeared for like 2 episodes. Yeah, frickin' 2. Why did they appear in 2? I have no frickin' idea. Yep, so yeah, that's particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do the like button. Next up we have is a Comic Corner. Okay? Next video. Bye.